How national social productivity and potential approach. So during my short career, I've been working with international teams of researchers in Europe and North America, and what I found is that international research teams produce really competitive and good research as compared to, I would say, and these international teams are composed by people that have been raised in different intellectual and cultural environments and using different methods and approaches. And this is, in my opinion, the way to do research as compared to monocultural groups. And so I really don't understand why Laurentian is really cutting the funding for international students. Like,
Shame!
I have to pay $12,000 for a year and so no more international students will come at Laurentian. And if I wouldn't have my girlfriend, for example, I wouldn't be able to live in such a, or I would be forced to live in my van. And that's not acceptable. And the strategy used by Laurentian regarding international recruitment is really bad, because I think this prevents
social location on those fronts. My name is Gary Kinsman. I used to be a member of the Sudbury Coalition Against Poverty. I'm really glad to be using our megaphone, the Sudbury Coalition Against Poverty megaphone, which we actually were forced to buy because the police confiscated from us, and we were then forced to buy it even though we were only trying to rent it. So I'm glad this megaphone is of great use. I want us first of all to remember something that people in power in this society want us to forget about. That is Kimberly Rogers. Kimberly Rogers died in Sudbury in August 11th of 2001. Kimberly Rogers was a person who was trying to go to community college. She was going to Cambrian, and she was also on social assistance at the same time. She was getting social assistance and OSAP at the same time. When she started to do that in 1996, this was an entirely approved and legal thing to do. When the Mike Harris Tory government came into power in 1995, they made this. One of the first things they did was to make this an illegal activity. It was then illegal to do what was previously legal to do, which was to have OSAP and student assistance at the same time. They accused Kimberly Rogers of engaging in what they called welfare fraud. They placed her under house arrest. This left her with $18 a month after she paid rent, and she couldn't even go inside her house. And in those situations, she died when she was 8 months pregnant in the summer of 2001. And the government of Mike Harris bears responsibility for her death. But they want us to forget about this. That law is still in effect. The McGuinty Liberal government is maintaining that law that says it is illegal for people on social assistance to also get student assistance, therefore preventing lots of people living in poverty from actually going to university. We need to call for an end to that policy. People should be able to get OSAP and student assistance and social assistance at the same time. One of the first acts of the Mike Harris government, one of the first groups it went after was people living in poverty. Social assistance rates were cut by 40%. Many people were forced into very desperate circumstances. That cut of 40% has been maintained by the current Liberal McGuinty government. For people on social assistance to get back to where they were prior to the Mike Harris government, they need an immediate raise in 40% of social assistance rates, which is what we also need to call for. The final thing I want to say is that anti-poverty activists, the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty, and other people are marching through the financial district in Toronto right now powerful people in this society that we will not pay for their crisis. You've noticed that they've been bailing out the rich and the corporations, but they've been trying to get poor people and working class people to pay for their crisis. What we need to say is it's their crisis, we're not paying for it, and we're going to build a powerful movement of people living in poverty, students, workers, and other people to drop tuition fees, to abolish tuition fees, to create a living wage, and to raise social assistance rates. Thanks very much. We don't want no mac and cheese, you're talking. We don't want no...
We've been marching this way for years now. We've been coming down to this office and we've been demanding that tuition does not increase, and yet every year it goes up. And part of that fault goes to this man here, Mr. Rick Bartolucci. We have sat down at lobby sessions with Mr. Bartolucci. He has told us the Liberals have no plans to freeze or drop fees. What do we have to say to that? It is time now to fund education properly. It is one of the services that we need as a society to equalize across classes. One of their staff is probably coming down here now. I don't know what we should tell them. What do you guys think we should tell them?
Tuition fees for all students living across Canada for the past 5 years. Yay! No debt. As of 1 p.m. on November 5th, 2009, the accumulated student loan debt was over $13.3 billion. Yay! Coinciding with the new information from Statistics Canada over the month, which stated Ontario has surpassed Nova Scotia in becoming the province with the highest tuition fees, both at undergraduate and graduate levels. It brings us to a terrorizing time for students to pay off student loans and put themselves through the privilege of post-secondary education. How much longer will we tolerate this abuse? We must rise up and collectively change the system in Canada. We must give people in all walks of life the chance to affordable education without being forever indebted to these banks.
Make your saddest face.
No, two glares. I think you'd be sadder than that, huh?
Yeah,
Glare with the